to say a few words and make the presentation of our festival award. Orla?
Hello, lovely to be here. 7 years ago, I had a lovely stroke of luck. I was asked to go and be in the first series of Wallander. It was a small part, but a lovely part, which I really wanted to do, partly because I knew I'd be doing all my scenes with Kenneth Branagh. And so I legged it off to Sweden to, do this, and I was very excited about it. But I also had a little bit of trepidation about just, the way you feel when you're about to meet somebody who you've admired for years. You kind of think, oh, what's that going to be like? And I say this partly because I've worked with a couple of these big fellas before. And usually, they're very polite to you. Not always, but usually. And but you know where the power lies. You know that this is the most powerful person on set, and you're a sort of little moon around their earth, and you have to kind of know your place and do it that way. However, when I got on the set of Wander, I realised that it was very opposite to how it actually was. I think if I'd had my head under a rock for the previous 2 decades and hadn't known who he was, I would have just thought they'd hired some nice local actor to do it. Very good local actor, but all the same. He was, as the saying goes, the 800-pound gorilla. He did have the power. He was exec producer and had casting approval, I think, and had the rights to the piece and was also the lead actor. So clearly he had the power, but you never knew that. All you knew, and all I experienced, was just working with another actor and going in, trying to get the scenes right, knocking it around. He was generous and kind and open to ideas from other people, even some of my appalling ideas. So that was lovely, and I came away from that thinking that was a unique experience. And then several years later, of course, I've been asked to present this award. And in the few weeks since I was asked, I bumped into several friends who've also worked with him. And I discovered that I'm not alone, that to a man, to a woman, everyone has said that a highlight of their career has been working with this man. And I say this in several senses, not just that he's a lovely fella, which he is, but also just that they felt exhilarated by being pushed a bit and by somebody who was so genuinely enthusiastic about doing what we do and doing it well and pushing them. I mean, to the point almost where I was kind of saying, but I've never seen him in a grump. I've never seen him be really bad-tempered or kick a cat or anything like that. And for the record, none of my friends have ever seen him kick a cat. I did a bit of Googling afterwards in case there was a story out there about cat kicking before I said this, but there isn't, it's fine. Perhaps I should go further in the interest of thoroughness and say, has anyone in the house tonight ever seen Kenneth Branagh kick a cat? Anybody? Okay, fine. So at this point, I could do some sort of review of your career and achievements before I give you this award, but we'd all miss the pub, miss our buses home, because the list is so long, so you'd hate me, so I won't do that. I would just say that we have watched this Belfast boy over the years, telling stories, delighting in it, being joyous about it, and we've been dazzled. And so I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that I'm very proud to be presenting the Volta Award to you tonight.
Down there and just say a few words that I've written down so I can remember. But I would like to thank everybody. It's been a hell of a day here, and it's a lovely, lovely way to end it. Many years ago, I filmed a show in Ljubljana, in the former Yugoslavia, and on my Sunday off, I took a very long and very eventful train journey to Trieste, simply because James Joyce had lived there. For a while, and I was entirely fascinated by Mr. Joyce. And I didn't know it then, but it was in Trieste that he was first exposed to the cinematograph, and nor did I know that it was also there that he had the idea of bringing this device back here to Dublin and to open the Volta picture house that was, and which gives this award its name. So it feels personally like a rather tenuous but very sweet connection between that moment and this. And when you're and you know, when you're old enough to be even considered for this kind of insanely generous tribute, you find yourself seeing all sorts of connections, weird connections that the universe seems to have laid out for you. And it's hard, you know, in this city, not to think of some amazing times that I've spent here in the past. And I was reminded of them today, as I spoke a little bit about Cinderella. And people, as they have done tonight, they've asked me about my approach to the film, and I've used this word. I've said, it was a classical approach, and they would say, well, what do you mean by that exactly? And as I began to explain this, I realized that the definition that I was about to offer up was one that had been put to me nearly 30 years ago in this very city. And I was playing Hamlet, this role that keeps coming up, at the Gaiety. And it was our Monday evening press night, and we were a young company in the very early stages of our tour, and it was a Dublin opening, and it was hugely important to us. And I was alone in my dressing room afterwards. I was a bit concerned about how it had gone, and there was a knock at the door, and I opened it, and there stood a man who, in my eyes, was a giant of world theatre and cinema, and his name was Cyril Cusack. And he thanked me for this performance, and he said that he'd admired it because it was a classical approach, he said. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he said it was an attempt to seamlessly fuse the traditional and the contemporary, and he thought that's what I was attempting, and that had made him very happy. And needless to say, his remarks made me very happy. So much so that, in fact, there he was helping me 30 years on with the conversation I had today. So thank you, up there in the great green room in the sky, Mr. Cusack. And thank you to the Dublin Festival, because this splendid tribute also makes me very happy. It's fantastic to be in the great company of the previous recipients of this award. And it also gives me a unique opportunity to say thank you to the people of Dublin and Ireland for supporting my work on stage and screen for the last nearly 35 years. I appreciate it deeply as I do this, and for that, thank you very much, and good night.